Hello and welcome to this lecture on adding new records to a database. In this lecture, we will be using the SQL insert command to insert or add a new record into an existing database. So let's head over to our SQL Server Management Studio and begin to do that. I have got SQL Server Management Studio opened, and on the left here, Object Explorer, I've got my databases and other database objects. So let's open up a new query. Click on the new query window. So this is where we will write our query to add or insert new records into a database table. So we need to make sure we've got the right database. So make sure this AdventureWorks 2014 is selected. Often when you get a request to add data or insert data into a database table, it's best to look at what is already in the table, so you know how the table looks before you made the addition, and then you look at the table after you've made the addition. So the table we are going to look at is the departments table, which belongs to the human resources schema. So let's have a look at that table as it stands. So we do a select, star means return all the columns. From is where we specify the schema and the table. This is the schema, human resources, and the table is department, and then we end that with a semicolon. So let's execute to see what the table looks like. So this is what the table looks like at the moment. It's got 4 columns, which is department ID, which is this is a primary key. You got the name, which is this name here. You've got group name, and then you've got modified date. So here it's an automatic numbering system. So it looks like there's already automatic numbering in this column. So when you're inserting new records, you can exclude this column because the numbering is automatic. It will insert that for you. The key thing to look at is the number of rows. At the moment, this table has 16 rows. So by the time we insert, we're going to insert one row into this table. So that will make it 17. All right. So let's just have a look. So there's a modified date, group name, and name. All right, so this is how the table stands at the moment. Take note of the rows, 16 row. We're going to add another row. So now that we know what the table looks like, we know what the data in there at the moment looks like, we need to proceed to inserting a new record or row. There is a tip that you can use to guide you where is got the table name and the schema. Just right click on it, and where it says script table as, select insert, and then select new query editor window. So what this does, it's actually written the query for you, or it's giving you a format of how the query should be written to insert a new record into the table. So this is how it's written it. So we'll just amend a few details here. It's telling you to use the AdventureWorks 2014 database, which is that. The values in square brackets just protects what's in there so that you can not, so that the name doesn't conflict with anything else. And then line 2 is just the go command to indicate you can proceed. So the main query here is from line 4 to 11. So line 4, you start with the insert into command. When using the insert command, you must use the into as well. So insert into. Then you specify the schema and the table. This is the schema, this is the table. The table is department, which is this one here. And then notice this table has got also a department ID, primary key. This table here has got automatic numbering on it, hence it hasn't listed it here. So it's only giving 3 columns that you need to populate: the name, the group name, and the modified date. So this is how you specify. First you specify the columns, then you specify the values you want to insert into the columns. So the values are name, and then group name, and then modified date. This is an amended query. So this is a query I've written to insert the records. So we're using the AdventureWorks database 2014, and I am inserting records into the human resources schema, the department table, and then these are the columns. The columns in the table are the name, which is this one, group name, which is this, modified date. You always have to put a comma between the columns when you're specifying that in the query. Okay, if you notice there's a parenthesis starts from the beginning column and then the end column. You always have to place the columns in parentheses when you are grouping them. And then next is very important, you specify the values. These values are the values you will insert into each of these columns. So the apples will go into the name, the fruits will go into the group name, and then I've used a function called getDate. What this will do, it will pick up the current date and then use that to insert the date and time. So let's look at how the table is. This date and time format. So that's it begins with a year, then the month, and then the day, and then you've got the hours here, and then you've got this is hours, this is minutes, and then you've got the seconds. Okay, so that is the current format of the date. We're going to use a date function to insert that for. Notice I have not put any values for the department ID because this row here is automatically numbered. So let's look at what the row is. So this here, department ID here, has got automatic numbering, so it will automatically insert the next number here. So that's why I've not inserted it in the query. So the query is good to go. I've got all my values. Your values must match the columns you have specified. If it doesn't match, SQL Server will complain and you'll have to adjust that. Okay, so at the moment I can't see any errors on the query window. It all looks good. So let's execute that. Just highlight that and go execute. So when successful, you get this message that says 1 row affected. That means it has inserted the record. So we're going to do a select statement to have a look at the new record we have added on. All right, this is the select statement I'm going to run to check out the new record we inserted. So I go execute. So notice the previous count was 16. It's now showing 17. So I expect our new record to be at the bottom. There we go. So you've got apples and then you've got fruits. Okay. So, and you can notice also the date format. It has converted it to match using the date function. All right. If you take note, look at the numbering here, 17. Okay. So it's giving the next value 17. 17 record. This row here, this column here is automatic numbering system. In this lecture, we modified an existing database by adding a new record into the database. So whether you are adding one record or adding 1,000 records, the process is the same. Thank you so much for your time. Please let me know if you have any questions whatsoever. I'll be more than happy to help. Bye for now.